Good. You good now, Jason? Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Independent City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, September 13th, 2022 at 6:30 in the evening. Let the record show the council members are all present and they were here earlier for an earlier work session. Council members, you have the edited minutes that our city recorder sent out to you previously with a minor change. Do they meet with your approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Visitor comment, Mr. Bimrose. Yep. Just a reminder, public comment is for council to listen up to 5 minutes from each person, and we're just here listening. Thank you. Good evening.
All right, thank you. Do I need to introduce myself?
Why don't you, so that anybody who's watching knows who you are. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Bodie Bemrose. I'm a downtown property owner, but also born and raised here. And I still have a home in Polk County. I am really, I'm going to be brief. I just wanted to share my concerns, as I know other people are, about our homeless problem. And I realize that there's been a lot of kicking the can down the road towards the Capitol. And my own experience talking to our police officers for asking for help, I know they're frustrated because they can't, maybe do what they used to be able to do based on laws that were passed. And John, thank you for emailing or responding to my email when I had some questions, and I appreciate you, letting me know that if we do have ideas that you're all ears and that we could do that. And I've also reached out to the county commissioners. Commissioner Gordon sent me a lot of information, which was very helpful. I guess out of that, what I think it becomes very apparent, kind of maybe what one of the problems is that with all these homeless task forces put together and these committees and subcommittees, I mean, the flow chart that Commissioner Gordon sent me was like, up to 30 subcommittees. In the meantime, there's not even a mission statement to determine what the problem is or what the goal is. And so I know there's a lot of money out there that can be allocated to go towards providing shelters or really more of a permanent solution, but it gets eaten up in these bureaucracies. And I'm not going to reveal my plan now, but I do want to submit something to the council and the commissioners. And then maybe you've gotten some other ideas from other people, but I'm on no committee. I'm just someone that grew up here, someone that has invested decades now into trying to revitalize our historic downtown, and I've been a part of the amazing improvements that has happened to downtown. And it's right there beside the city of Independence with all your guys' efforts. And it's a shame for our children and grandchildren to see all that hard work that takes decades to put together be kind of like, it's just sad. And I think what government has been doing, and I'm not saying you, I'm just saying overall, is really the most inhumane thing we can do for these people that are suffering the most, that are on the streets. And I think there are some solutions. I think there's money, not just money through tax from taxpayers, but I think private money. And one of the ideas that I will put forth would be where private partnership can provide land and housing. And it's a little different idea, but it's very compassionate, and I'll leave it at that. And it's something also, I don't want to just submit it here. I hope that the newspapers will print it so everyone, because I feel like the public needs to hear these ideas that are outside of the box, because what everyone's been doing isn't working. It's getting worse. So anyway, just with that being said, I wanted to just share that. And ask that our elected leaders really, instead of, this is not a conservative or liberal issue. This is something that where all parties and ideas need to come together. And I think maybe leadership is reluctant to speak out with even their own good ideas because there's downward pressure, from the Capitol. I don't know what it is, but it's time that people say, you know what, my buddies may not agree with this and what we've been doing is wrong, but now it's time to listen to maybe those that we've been debating all these years. So anyway, with that being said, and then I did want to mention, this is our new city manager.
Yes, I'm sure that you'll get a chance to visit with her later.
Okay. I wanted to introduce myself later sometime. And anyway, welcome aboard. Right.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Martha Jokins. Good evening. Welcome to the City Council.
Thank you. Actually, my name's Marta.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Bad reading, good writing.
So I wanted to mention the situation on Marigold with the abandoned trailers and trucks that Officer Anderson has been so great at handling. I spoke with him today, but I want to bring it to the council's attention that we need to talk about and do something about abandoned trailers, particularly on Marigold, but in the vicinity. It's a big concern for those of us. I live over in the area, and the other day there were 9, and they're junk trailers. They're not, regular trailers. So I just wanted to, first of all, thank Officer Anderson and then bring it to your attention, and maybe we can get it back on the agenda. I understand it was voted down recently. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and ask for your help.
Thank you. Appreciate
it.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any other public comment that needs to be made at this point? Okay. I'm going to keep us moving forward here. And time for reports. My report. Okay. It's been a busy several weeks, and to report to council, I was able to help host the League of Oregon Cities, which represents 241 cities in Oregon. Their board of directors met here for their one of their board meetings, and they had a great time. And a number of them said, "Wow, we haven't been here before, and we want to come back." And our city manager is one of the few city managers that also serves on that board. She was elected by her peers around the state to serve on that board, and so I serve as a past president. Recent meeting with the folks from Salem Health and the folks over at West Valley Community Hospital, because we've known for quite some time that there's a shortage of healthcare providers in our area. In our conversations, we brought this need, which the healthcare folks were aware of, but we've kind of helped drive that home. They are very encouraged that there will be some additional providers within the next year here, and nothing's ever done till it's done. And but I was suitably encouraged, and so are they. Had the opportunity to recently attend the Central School District Welcome Back event for faculty and staff that was held over at Panther Stadium. School folks are, as we all know, school just started this week. Is it this week? Last week. Last week. The days jumble. But there was a lot of positive energy and looking forward to a good school year. Recently, staff and I had a chance to meet with the staff from Senator Patterson's office, talking about funding opportunities in the next coming years for infrastructure. Had an opportunity to participate in the sponsorship recognition for the folks that were involved with the half marathon that took place here over the Labor Day weekend. Was the sponsorship event, and then had the pleasure of being the starter for both the half marathon and the 5K, and there were well over 1,000 paid participants, and people were everywhere. It was folks came from near and far. There were a lot of folks. Many people had never been here. Many people had never been here, and they want to come back. And so that was encouraging. I had an opportunity last week to meet with the senior staff of the our city senior staff and had a chance to visit with them, let them ask questions, and just had a nice visit. Attended the ribbon cutting for Ashley Sews in downtown. So if you are I see a knitter in our front room. So if you are in need of knitting fabric, I guess it's everything fabric. And she also does upholstery. That's another. And also attended, along with many other people, the family building blocks event that took place over at the gate. There were well over 200 people there. Had a chance to hear about a new nonprofit in our community and the good work they're doing to support families in our community. So that's a little bit about what yours truly has been up to. I'm going to turn it over to our city manager and let her make her report. Ms. West.
I will start out by welcoming those who haven't been here before. Thank you for coming. It's always nice to have folks with us. And as we go to Zoom, I'm also going to do my introduction like I did last week so that everybody understands how our processes work. For those who are new and those who are new on Zoom, the first thing that I always like to make clear is that this is a business meeting. It's not a campaign platform. It's not a place to grandstand, enter into a diatribe, or I've just lost my spot. Sorry. It's not a campaign platform or a place to grandstand. It's not what you see on TV. This is good people doing good business and doing the best for the city. So the processes that we have are in place so that all of our community members get to hear as much information as possible. And it relates to the issues that are on the agenda. Our community has the opportunity to speak for their 5 minutes, and we always enjoy them coming in to do that. Once we get onto the agenda, it is all about transparency. It is all about our council being able to ask the questions they need of staff, because many of the questions they have are the questions that you have. And it allows the options, decisions, and city governments to move forward smoothly and with transparency. I also like to go over the roles. As you've noticed, the mayor presides over and runs the meeting. So if a councilor or audience member forgets that this is a business meeting, the mayor can delay or stop the proceedings to help that person to understand the process and follow the proper procedures. The mayor doesn't get to vote on an issue unless there is a tie. Our council makes policy, so their decisions relate to non-operational items, like what should be a high priority or a low priority, what should be budgeted for, if an ordinance should be passed or not. They do not have the authority to chide, reprimand, or in any way chastise staff. And importantly, one councilor cannot direct policy, but a quorum of the council does. The city manager, which is me, puts in place the procedures and the policies that the council has voted on. I manage this and hire the staff. I handle the operations, and I make sure that these policies are set into procedures so that we continue to move forward with the business of the city. As far as the process, the mayor will announce the agenda item, and then the staff or I, depending who's the lead, will come up and we'll talk to the council. We present the staff report. We have already researched the issue. We bring forward the facts, options, and recommendations based upon our research, community outreach, finance, law, budget, infrastructure needs, etc., whatever that issue requires. At that time, then, the council has the opportunity to ask questions. And the way it'll work oftentimes, and the best way it works, is our council, if they have a question, they'll contact me or they'll contact staff ahead of time because they receive the agenda packet the week before. And they'll ask the question. And then we will give that information to all of the council, or we'll include it in our presentation so that our community can hear that question, because it may not be something that we looked at. And so this is, again, that transparency. It's not a time for ambush. So again, it's not like TV. It's not a time where someone's going to be really peppering us with, well, you said, and you said, and you said. This isn't what happens. Again, this is a business meeting, doing good business, good people, good counsel, going over all of the issues that it takes to run a city. When the questions are answered, then the council discusses and debates. There will be a motion made, there will be a second to the motion, and at some point in time, there will be a vote. And then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. So that's just a little rundown of the way it works. I'll keep doing that for a little while until we see that people, we're not getting any more new people. With Zoom, I want to make sure everyone understands how we work. We've been really busy. City manager report, probably the most important thing that had occurred for us is Friday, September 9th, we activated our Emergency Operations Center due to the South Salem wildfire. Our communications coordinator, police chief, and I were joined in our EOC by our CERT team and Chief Stangy from Polk County Fire. 2 of our officers were deployed to stop traffic at the bridge to keep people from entering the fire zone. Staff and CERT members answered phone calls from our community members while we were at EOC. Chief Mason was in contact with officers on site at the fire, other law enforcement agencies, and Polk County. So we had contact with boots on the ground. I was in contact with Southwest Polk Fire, Grand Ronde Tribal Emergency Management, Polk County Emergency Management, and Marion County Commissioners. During the middle of that wildfire, we became aware of an animal rescue facility that was within the zone with over 40 animals that needed transport out of the fire zone. I made contact with Marion County Commissioner Cameron, who put me in contact with Marion County Commissioner Bethel. Commissioner Bethel deserves an amazing amount of praise because she very, very quickly coordinated a staging site for trailers, got the Oregon State Fairgrounds open and ready to accept animals from the fire zone, and got those trailers escorted behind fire lines to rescue those stranded animals. And she'd started that before we even made the call. So her actions are extraordinarily appreciated by all of the community, the horse community in particular. Our communications coordinator kept our community updated via our social media platforms by relaying up-to-date confirmed information that we received from our officers and partners within the fire zone. We continued to monitor the situation and update our social media platforms over the weekend and until the fire was 100% contained. I'm extraordinarily proud of our team. We've only been a team for 11 weeks. I've been here 11 weeks. Yet we were able to activate our EOC, collaborate and assist other agencies, and keep our community updated with a nearly flawless execution. And in fact, this morning, I received a call from the Marion County Administrator to personally thank me and our team for our exceptional collaborative work during the emergency. Your team did a great job. And thank you, Counselor. I'm very proud of them. Very proud of them. I'll follow up with the mayor on the LSC Board of Directors. I personally received a number of folks who came and told me how wonderful our community is, how much they loved it, and how much they're going to come back. So it was a very good meeting and they enjoyed it. They shopped at our shops, they ate at our restaurants, they stayed at our hotel, and they loved it here. Staff met with the new Odot regional representative, Mark Bernard, to discuss the city's perspectives on Odot roadway needs. We know that Odot controls a lot of our roads, and so that relationship is extraordinarily important. It was very nice to be able to talk with him and let him know what our needs are and what our community wants. An interesting tidbit, we've heard that Western Oregon University will be deploying DACSpot, which is a robot food delivery system in and possibly around campus. If you haven't heard of that, we have it down at OSU, and it's a very interesting concept, but it delivers food, and you enter a code, and then you get to take your food out. So it'll be interesting to see those bots running around Woo. We continue to work on our community center project, and as the mayor said, thanks to the mayor, we've been able to broach the subject of funding for this project with our legislators. This is a long-term project. This is a 3 to 5 year project, but we continue to move forward with that. Sean and I met last week with Western Interlock in Rick Riel. Their Rick Riel facility makes an impressive use of technology and automation to increase productivity and worker safety. We went through their facility. It's amazing. It is clean. It is beautiful. It is high tech. The new facility that they're talking about is a $25 million investment in our region, and it will be the most high tech of its kind in the country. So we're very excited by that meeting. This weekend is the Hop and Heritage Festival. The Hop The Oregon Hop Run is going on Saturday, September 17th, beginning at 10 a.m. It starts at our Riverview Park, and all proceeds from the event will benefit the work of the Ella Curran Food Bank. We also have the F Street ribbon cutting scheduled for this Thursday, September 15th at 2 p.m. We'll be joined by our state representative and our state senator, along with representatives from the Oregon Department of Transportation. Our mayor will say a few words. We'll cut a ribbon. It's pretty exciting to have that F Street Bridge open and done correctly. If you can attend, please do. This is for our community and our council. It's 2 o'clock Thursday, F Street Bridge. We also next week on the 22nd have the Sunset Park tree planting event. We received a grant from Pacific Power to purchase and plant trees in that park. We'll be joined by a representative from Pacific Power, from Oregon Parks and Rec Department, and we hope from the Urban and Community Forestry. Our master gardeners will be there. We'll have a small commemorative gifts, and 3 random attendees will receive a $100 voucher from Pacific Power to purchase a tree for their own property. So again, if you can, please come. It's pretty exciting. We hope to have more information on what we're going to do in that park on that date. So if you can join us, please do. And I also want to follow up on the mayor's comment about family building blocks. If you take a look at our Facebook page, Emmanuel just put out a really wonderful media blast, I guess I'll call it, about that. And there's some great pictures of the folks, some great information about what family building blocks is doing in our community. And that's all that I have.
Great. Thank you for your report. Questions for the manager at this point?
I have a question. First, I'd like to say thank you for your hard work on the fire comments. I think that's really great that the city has worked so hard. At the beginning, though, since I was the counselor that was told I was grandstanding and campaigning, I feel like you're trying to lecture me on how to have decorum here at council. I think it's not fair for the city to say that the council cannot speak and have a voice. And I hope that what you're trying to do is not stop debate when we talk up here. When the council brought forth, or the city brought forth the homeless initiative with the agreement, I had legitimate concerns about it that I addressed here. And when I was yelled at and said that I was grandstanding and debating and trying to cause a scene, was nothing more than me trying to air the problems and concerns I had with the memorandum. So I feel that city coming forth now and telling council this is a business agreement and that we all have to sit here and not debate anything or not have any discourse is a disservice to the people who elected me to be in this position. I feel that if I see something, yes, I can bring it up to you and we can talk about it, but we were already here discussing it. And I feel that when you come here and say that we shouldn't have a business meeting, and since I was the one called out, and now this is the second time you've brought this up verbatim at 2 consecutive council meetings, I feel like I have to stand up for myself and say that if an issue comes before me that I feel disagrees with my constituency and what's in the best interest of the city of Independence, I will vocalize what my feelings are and why I feel I need to be strong in those affirmations. I'm not trying to be combative with anybody on council or disrespectful to the mayor or city manager, but I don't feel that being reminded at consecutive meetings that this is a business agreement means that I have to agree with everything that the city brings forth, because that's not my job as a city councilor.
Thank you, Councilor. Mayor, if I may.
Please.
It's actually directed at nobody. It is simply that we have new people who are coming in on Zoom and who are coming into council. And a lot of people watch TV, and TV is not what our council looks like. In talking with contract attorney, one of the things that they made very clear is that this is a business meeting, and that I should make that very, very clear. So following our contract attorney's recommendation, that's what I'm doing. I'll continue to do it every year. It's not directed at any counselor. It is simply so that all of our community understands exactly how a meeting works and that it is a business meeting. As far as debate, there's absolutely a time for debate. And you'll notice, and I hope I made it clear, and I'm happy to re-clarify, there's a process. So the process is the agenda comes up, the item comes up, we present it. I or my staff. At that time, this council gets to ask any question that they want. But that's a question time. Staff doesn't debate, and staff doesn't get chided. And it's not a time at that point in time for debate. The time for debate is after the motion is made. And that's a debate between the council because staff plays no role in that. It's not our role. Our role is to research. Our role is to provide you information. And so it's debate is what is expected, counselor. And I hope that you all enter into that fully because that is a part of our governance. And as an attorney, I believe in it 100%, but there's a time for it. And I'm just making sure that our people, whether they're here or Zoom, understand that when they don't see you debating like you see on TV or yelling at staff like you see on TV, that's okay because you're doing it right. That you're debating when you're supposed to debate. You're debating after the motion. So it's not directed at anybody except to make sure that those folks who haven't joined us before because they didn't have an opportunity know how we do it and that we're doing it right. The LOC sent people to come to this council to watch what you do because you do it right. And so I'm just letting our people know that you're doing it right and not to expect you to be debating or arguing or getting nasty because you're doing it right.
Are there additional questions for staff? If not, we're going to continue moving forward. And I'm not sure who has the next part, the housing needs analysis that's just a video? Is there an introduction?
It's a video.
Okay.
My name is Mike.
Did anybody want to?
My name is Mike.
Sorry. Still learning how to.
There we go.
My name is Nayeli Torreblanca, and I've been a resident of Independence for about 30 years. So I currently live with my parents. It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and I am looking to now move on my own. The difficulties that I've had, back in the day, it used to be so much simpler. You step in an office, you fill out an application, and then you quickly move the situation. But now it's more of you have to do it online, and then you're waiting in front of other people. So it's like, it's a long time. And so I decided instead of renting, I'm just gonna try to see if I qualify for a home. And I did, unfortunately, here in Independence, that need is not satisfied. So the amount that I qualified for, there is nothing within the range here in Independence. So I have to go out of the city limits, which I would prefer not to, but you have to do what you have to do. And, if commuting is the way of doing it, well then, I have to go with it. We have a lot of builders who are building because they want to have all these houses to sell, but yet who are the buyers? People who are not even from Oregon. And so, you do see the change of people coming from out of state. And then it's like, it's not people or people that, are local, and people that are upgrading from an apartment to a house, so it's, how do we help them? A lot of people that I've talked to is that they can't make it on their own. They would have to have a roommate. So in my situation, it's the same thing. Like if I were to move out, I would be moving out with my brother. And so my brother said that, he also wants to feel that independence. So, that's where we're at, where we would have to go together in order to be able to basically survive. In my point of view, I feel like, I don't want to be swimming anymore. I want to be finally getting a rest and be like, okay, I got this. I can do this. And look at the accomplishment I have done, so that's where I want to sit. So, ultimately that is the end goal, right?
Do you want to make any comment on what and how this ties in?
Yeah.
Just slide the microphone
That one
over.
looked fun.
So yeah, so I mean, that was just, we've done 2 videos now for housing needs analysis. And essentially what we're hoping to do is just really raise some of the questions that we know are out there about housing and sort of raise some of the issues that we know are going on in the community. And so that was one of them. That we do have a housing needs analysis survey going on right now. It's still going on for a little longer. We also have some materials that are out there in the lobby and online. So I guess we're continuing to sort of do work. We do plan to have sort of an online panel with sort of area experts where folks could ask questions. So we do hope to announce a date for that soon, but we are trying to work towards that. And so we are working on the housing needs analysis. I think that we just like the video, which is partially why we wanted to share it. So,
Well, it's really good that the city is doing, not every city has done this, and it's a challenge. The issues that you talked about are challenges that are universal. Was I getting flagged?
Yes.
Please do, Council.
When we talked about this the last time, Fred, I asked specifically if River Place Apartments was going to be included in the community portion of this. Just want to make sure they are, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in apartments who want to move into homes, just like Niley wants
yeah,
to.
that's a good point. And I got to tell you that I've been kind of swamped with stuff for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. But thanks for the reminder. I'll definitely go out there.
I'd be happy to help organize it if you want some help.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Great. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I had a question. So,
Please do.
so how much longer is the survey going to be up?
I want to say it's a couple more weeks.
Couple more.
The consultant originally planned for a month.
Okay, and how are we doing about participation right now?
We got, after Niley's video went out, we got a number of comments back, and I was really surprised. We did sort of get hacked, though, where like a bot was sending responses, so we have had to weed out some of those. Like originally, we're like, "Whoa, look at how many!" But no, we are going through it, and still, even with the bot, we're very pleased with how many folks have responded. I will say that if folks haven't filled out the survey, there is a potential chance to win a $25 gift card. So go ahead and fill it out and put in your contact information so you can be sure to be entered in the drawing.
Please.
I have a comment. So in my experience, the goal here in Independence, we want to be a tourist destination. We have a lot of bling. And so we are definitely enticing people from out of state, out of town to move here. Those people have money. They like the look of the city. They like where it's going, the direction. So we're bringing in all this money, all these people who can afford houses, right? Because they're attracted by the glam. I say the glam in small town. And then we have people like this video that are saying, hey, I want to be a first time home buyer. I don't know if that ship has sailed completely, but based on where the city wants to go, we're not looking at going backwards. I mean, unfortunately, we're going to keep enticing people to come here from out of state. I mean, I sell real estate. This is a lot of the clientele is coming from out of state. So I don't really know what the fix is, but house prices are not, going to just plummet when we've got people willing to pay cash, when they're coming from another state below us that has a lot more money. We will be beat out every single time. And so I guess wondering what the direction of the city is, because we're not going backwards. And so it's a nice video, and I feel really bad because I have a lot of clients like that. But we're not indicating we want to change that. We're full steam ahead, keep doing what we're doing, and it's going to price everyone out. It already has, it's going to get worse. I mean, are those things that we're even looking at? Because
Yeah, So what you just stated is the exact tension that we recognize is going on. I mean, that fundamentally is like what we see as a fundamental question for the housing needs analysis. I mean, Natalie works here. She has lived here a long time. We like folks who have grown up here to stay here. You know, our entire public works department just about went to Central High School. We love those folks. You know, they care about the community. They've cared about the community for a long time. So, okay, what do we do to accommodate folks that have lived here a long time who want to stay? Right?
When you say accommodate, like you can't do that in the real estate market.
Right.
You can't just accommodate someone, you know, we're not giving out free houses. What is that?
And I understand. But I mean, so I guess the question is, where do we want to be and can we bend the trajectory in any way? And if so, what is that?
And so that's the purpose of
That's
this.
fundamentally what this housing needs analysis is trying to address. We still recognize that there's going to be a lot of single family houses in the community. You know?
Okay.
So you're looking to have more multifamily housing? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I mean, potentially, or smaller options as well. I mean,
We're gonna let the community tell us that.
we're going to let the
Right.
community tell us.
So let me just complete the picture. You asked a good question. So once the housing needs analysis is done, the information will come back, and then it's going to be all put in front of us, and we're going to talk about different strategies to deal with housing for families, for seniors, for veterans, for disabled, for all parts of the community. And so that's how we have to put together a plan. Is that a fair characterization?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so this is the information gathering portion.
That's exactly right.
Okay,
I didn't see questions specific to those needs on the survey. When I took the survey, I didn't see how we would conclude any of the things that Counselor Job brought up.
So, I mean, it is a short survey, but there are opportunities to fill in answers. So,
The survey is the back gallery. So it's what's the key? Counselor Joe was asking for the next step, which is the answers, right? How would you do? You don't know. Yeah.
But if we don't ask the questions to where the housing market is leading us, how would the community answer the questions in a manner that would satisfy Counselor Job's, thoughts and your goal of changing the trajectory potentially? I mean, none of the questions even lean someone to answer the survey in a manner that would conclude to that.
right. So, I mean, I think partially, some of it is sort of an instrument of the survey. It's like, how in the world are you gonna craft a survey that can effectively address all of the issues that are out there? We elected to go simple to sort of get a high level view of what are people's thoughts. We talked about affordability. We talked about housing types. We talked about like, what are you thinking is, I mean, I've honestly talked to some people and said, what are your housing needs in the community? And they're from other places. And they're like, I'm doing just fine.
Have you thought about asking a question like, would you mind your lot being developed at 80% density and only have 4,000 square feet? Because that's kind of what we're thinking with the tiny homes, right? So when we put this out and a person can't visualize what we're actually going for, how would a person know, okay, this now the city's going to interpret that we need housing analysis. Let's cut our lot sizes down, 50% or more and increase the density that we have on those. I mean, it is possible that we could go from that perspective and leap into we need tiny houses and skyscrapers all over
I
Independence.
don't think anybody's making any proposals at this time. This is just an information gathering opportunity because there's not any suggestions of changing lot size. None of that's on the table yet. We just are trying to get the information so that because that will all come to us. That's what that's all going to come to us. There's no decisions being made. And sometimes you have to ask people several times, because once you shrink the world, then you can shrink it again to the next part. So I'm
Right.
sure we're going to be hearing more about this as it's coming in the next months.
Right, and really like what we're trying to do with the survey is just get a sense of where folks are at. I mean, like what are concerns, what are issues that people are seeing? And I guess I'll put the question to you, like, I mean, what sort of community do we want? Are we wrong thinking that potentially we want to bend the trajectory or whatever, or are we content building out and being a tourist style community? Like, what do we want for ourselves?
So I guess that'll be an interesting conversation when we get to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep it moving, because there's nothing to decide at this point. We were just being informed. Let's go down to an OLCC license approval. Sergeant, I think you get to make the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Sergeant Juventino Bañuelos of the Independence Police Department. And I've completed my review of the OLCC application, liquor license application for the Golden Hop Saloon, and I've provided my report. Are there any questions about it?
The information's in our packet. Any questions?
Same owners as the establishment up the road?
Sorry, ma'am,
Same owners as the establishment up the road?
which would be the
Chase's?
establishment,
The Chase Restaurant up the street?
and not as far as I know, ma'am.
Oh, different family altogether? Okay, good to
Yeah.
know.
I apologize.
Thank you for the clarification.
I think cops know everything, Tina.
I know just about everything.
Sorry.
That's great. Okay, this is an action item. If there are no questions for staff, if someone would like to make a motion, please.
I move to recommend the approval of the liquor license request for Golden Hop Saloon.
Second.
A motion second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Welcome to town.
Good to see you folks in the audience tonight. Okay, let's continue moving forward. Mr. Evander, you have a mural request, please.
I do. So, wow, never had a mural before, and then we get a second one, huh? So this is for, and I'm gonna call it a wall graphic, because the code requirement talks about murals and wall graphics, and it doesn't define either murals or wall graphics. So this is not gonna be painted on the building. This would be on a panel that's attached over the transom windows at 184 South Main Street. It would be on the River Gallery, and it would be a piece of artwork that was prepared by Paul Gentry, a former partner in the River Gallery, who apparently recently passed away. It would be at the banks of the Willamette River. So basically, like, I looked at this in the same way as we looked at the mural out on North Main. There's no specific code criteria that would prohibit this wall graphic. From my perspective, it doesn't function as a sign. It's a piece of art, right? It doesn't specifically draw attention to the business, though it is related to an art gallery. It's a piece of art. Further, there's no alteration that would occur to the building. Currently, the River Gallery has transom windows, and if you could go to the picture up above, Karen, 2 pages earlier, that would be great. You can see there's transom windows right there. So those used to be open. They used to be clear, so you could, so it let light in and everything like that. Those transom windows are currently covered. This would just continue the covering of the transom windows. Based on all of that stuff, my recommendation is that you folks approve this mural / wall graphic with just 2 conditions. That no significant change to the colors or image of the mural or wall graphic may occur without additional review by you folks. And then the second proposed condition is that the applicant shall apply for and obtain a sign permit prior to installation of the proposed mural / wall graphic. The mural and wall graphic standard is in our independent sign code. That's where it specifically gives you folks the right to say yes or no to a mural or wall graphic. Because it's in there and because it is going to be an object affixed to a building that could potentially fall on somebody, that's why the second condition is in there. Are there any questions?
Questions for staff? Counselor Cour.
The council, before I came on council, approved the statue of Dan down in front of the old antique store. Yeah. One of the questions that came up during that council was, we don't have a process by which to review and approve these kinds of art exhibits, for lack of another term. I'm not against it. I think it's a great idea. But I just wonder why we don't have some kind of process by which this stuff gets vetted and then comes to council. And the reason why I bring it up is there were some concerns after the statute was put in place that the community wasn't a part of that process. And I'm wondering maybe if we're at a point in time, if this is a path we want to go down, having art installations, if we want to go down the road of establishing an art and culture committee.
I think that that's a good idea. There is, I just want to just note there's one difference between that and this. This is proposed by a private property on their building. The public, us as a public agency, don't have any dog in this fight. We're not encouraging this in any sort of way.
And that's why it was with the statue with Dan. It was a private individual who wanted to put the statue in place. And the one, I think there was only one dissenting vote on council then, but that was the issue. Why don't we have a process? Because we, like Kenneth said, we need to be transparent. People need to understand why we're looking at this, why we're approving it or not approving it. I think it's lovely to see more art in downtown, particularly over this ugly transom window. But I just wonder that maybe we need a committee at some point, or some body to review this kind of stuff. Not saying we have to do it right now. I'm just saying, let's just start thinking about that.
Additional questions, Councilor Morton?
Yes, I understand that much of downtown is built with transom windows, but many of them are covered up. I'm thinking of right now, like Country Financial and Naughty Noodle, they all have transom windows, but they're covered up. It seems to me that if we were really pursuing at some point in the future a historic look, we might want to talk about getting those uncovered. But at this point in time, since there is a precedent for covering them, I like the way that this is proposed, that it is a cover that can be removed. But I do like the art addition, and it's certainly appropriate on an artist gallery like this. But I find that I'm in agreement with Councilor Cour that at some point in the future, we may need to look at it at an Arts and Culture Commission.
Councilor Jacobs.
So I would also say I'm in agreement with Councilor Cour, but I don't think this is really the same thing as the statue, where the statue was actually on the sidewalk. This is on the building. One question I have though is can we really dictate color, or have much to say with color? Because with signs.
No, and really the only reason that I put that on there is because they have proposed something one specific way and it came to you for approval that way. That's why I'm recommending the first condition. It in no way is intended to regulate content of the sign, other than the fact that they said this is what we're going to put on the building. So if the first condition is suggested specifically just to say, hey, if you're gonna change it, please come back and ask the council to change it.
Great. Okay,
I move to approve the proposed mural wall graphic at 184 South Main Street with the conditions included in the staff report.
Second.
motion is second by Martin Willis. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. I know we came in early today. Are there any council announcements that we need to take care of?
I would like to just add on to what the city manager talked about. This is the Hoppin Heritage Block Party this weekend. There are a number of businesses that are involved, including one of our new businesses that is not even officially open yet, but I too am glad to see the people here. The Golden Hop Saloon will be participating in the events. There will be things up and down Main Street, and there will be a lot of things happening at Heritage Museum, which just goes to show that it's in a great location, being right downtown, so it can participate in events like this. And from noon to 7, and the idea for the timing is to, as soon as people get done with the hop run, they're all going to want a beer. We're sure of that.
Great. Additional announcements,
I would
please.
just like to say that because I was in the Navy, I like to use the term all hands on deck. So that just means, I think city staff should be focused a lot of their attention on making sure that we man the two-man, I don't mean that in
Two-person.
male, female, but that we get the positions hired for our police department. We need to show support for our police department. Our job, number one, as city council, is to provide a safe city. And I feel that it shows support for our police department when we make whatever efforts we need to make sure that the police department is fully staffed. And having 2 people out for this long is not a good precedence to set for our city. I think it should be all hands on deck to make sure that we get that done.
Please, would you pull the microphone closer?
Apologies. And I have a low voice anyway, so that doesn't help anything. The Chief Mason and I are working on this. And we are being creative on how to recruit. You are not the only city down police. I'm afraid that it is throughout the state and neighboring states as well. But just this week, we're working on creative ways to recruit and to retain, because that's the other option. We really run into some issues that our amazing police officers can live in Independence and work in Salem and Polk County and Yamhill County and go to bigger or smaller agencies, depending on what they prefer. So we are working on it, Counselor. It is one of our top priorities. We talk weekly, and we've been really striving to figure out what we can and can't do. We've come up with some creative ideas that we're running through legal right now, and hopefully, if legal approves it, we'll be bringing you some great ideas. Thank you.
Thank you for following up on that. Okay, someone would say the word adjourn. We can go home
Adjourn.
without objection. Thank you. And thanks for coming in early today.